I wanted to make an end of the year list ever since I started this channel. And you know what? Fuck it. 2021 has been a mess, but this is the year I do it, and this is it. Welcome to A Runner Does Music, where today I'm presenting my first ever album of the year ranking with the top 25 albums of 2021. This year has been hell, both on the personal side and on the music channel side. As you can tell, my uploads have been very iffy ever since I released my first upload of the year with Escape the Fates Chemical Warfare. But when I uploaded that review, I had something in the back of my head. I knew that I wanted to do this in some way, shape, or form by the end of the year. At first, I wanted to do a top 100. Then a few months ago, I realized, maybe a top 50 is more viable. But then I realized if I want to do this right, if I want to do this justice, I needed to keep it at just a top 25. So that's where we are. Admittedly, both in this list and just in general, I missed a lot of solid albums throughout the year. Hell, Capstan's separate, I didn't even know released, and I didn't even really know who Capstan was up until literally yesterday when I got one of their records in the mail from a contest. I didn't know how good they were. So that's just one album that I missed out on. While some of these albums, and they are going to be noted as such, didn't receive a full review on my channel, a lot of these do have reviews on my channel, so I'm going to be putting up a screenshot or possibly down in the description. I'm going to have a link to the actual review. You can check it out for yourself to see what I thought more about the release. But before we get into things properly, there are 4 other quick things I just want to know before things really get started. First one is I cover a lot of genres. In the top 10 alone, there's about at least 3 different genres being represented, and I just want to say that for that very fact, a lot of people might look at this list and see some of the entries or even just in the thumbnail, because I'm going to try and vary at the thumbnail. They might look at that and think to themselves, how are you going to put, like, these artists haven't actually released anything this year, but how are you going to put Bring the Horizon up against Katy Perry or something like that? I listen to a lot of music. I listen to a lot of different things. I want to review a lot of different things. So I try to put my best, most varied input into things. So that's what this list is a culmination of. So that's the first real big thing. The second is I need to get rid of this hat. I don't care how bad my hair is. That just makes me look stupid. Now, the real second thing is that, like I noted previously, while I've thoroughly listened to every single one of these albums, not all of them have received a full, proper review, which means when I do eventually review them, my actual review score and my actual critical take on that might affect how they would have placed here in the list. So my number 8 album is an album that I haven't actually properly sat down and done a proper written review for. I could do that in a couple months from now or even next week and realize, oh damn, the more I think about it, maybe it was more of a number 5, or maybe it was more of a number 15. So think about that with some of those albums I mentioned don't have full written reviews. I'm just doing my best here. I started out halfway throughout the year, truly physically with the album reviews, so I'm really just doing my best here. The third is my time window for the review period. I open up, just like I did this year, my review period with December 2020 and it ends in November 2021. Just like with this year, it started with December 2021, is ending with November 2022. That way I don't have to try and rush throughout the month of December trying to get those last minute releases, and I have a little time to give myself some breathing room before the next year starts. Hell, on my channel already, I've reviewed Famous Last Words and Volbeat. Those are going to be in contention for next year with the 2022 Album of the Year list. Now, I'm pretty sure I said I had 4 things. Looking at this list, number 4 is just a repeat of the whole. I might change my mind on some of the placements here, so ignore that. Like I said, I may not have been able to sit down more thoroughly with albums like from bands like You Me at 6, Chunk No Captain Chunk, or more, but I truly think this is my personal opinion and yet critical opinion, all in all, just my opinion. My top 25 albums of 2021. Let's fucking get started. Also, you're not going to see a lot of bumpers for this first part just to keep the length of the video kind of short, so it's going to look kind of unprofessional first, but trust me, top 10, there's some bumpers. It looks cool. Just wait for that. But number 25 is American Teeth with We Should Be Having Fun. There are 2 debut studio albums on this list that blew me away completely and utterly this year. This is the first of those 2. American Teeth is a project I didn't expect to like when people describe them to me. They sort of described them to me as another case like Dying Designer or Nothing Nowhere. And I thought to myself, okay, those 2 artists are good. There's a lot of artists that sound like that are good, but that's kind of a tired genre and a tired musical thing. I don't know if I'm going to like this, but when I actually listened to this Elijah Knoll project, I found something quite enjoyable and quite fascinating. When your album can lean in between 2 to 3, even 4 genres, if you really get into the nitty gritty here on this album, and it has people on it like Dwayne M, and just overall the other producers and collaborators that came throughout the course of this album, you should be having fun. It's something truly special that I think you need to experience from 2021 if you haven't already. This was a dark horse album of the year. I originally had it higher, and while it may have dumped a little down, may have fell down a little bit, I still think this album was one that you did not want to miss throughout the year. At number 24, we have Attila with Closure. Now, before you click off, because I know some of you want to click off because you're like, Attila, here we go. Just listen. Attila has come roaring out of the gates every couple of years, putting out another album after another album of party bangers, hate fuck music, and stuff along those lines. But back in 2018 with Villain, we saw more mature sides to the band, and while it wasn't great, it wasn't really fine-tuned just the correct way. I think here with Closure, Attila finally found their real, like, proper notch in between their fuck yeah party energy and their yeah, I'm a little older and I have more depression now energy. And this is the perfect blend of old and new Attila finally finding the proper sound to display itself with. There's still party background music, college binge drinking, but in between that, you get a different side of Attila's brand of metalcore. The songs like Anxiety just really truly put you into a different headspace when it comes to this band. I'll admit, I still kind of have this idea that Attila is just this band that I can listen to when I have a Monster Energy next to me. It's like, oh yeah, it's time to fuck around and zone out for a couple hours. But this album went out a different way. Again, different facets of this album make Attila actually a band to really pay attention to if you might have fallen off in the past couple years, and that's why it's here on my top 25 list. Number 23, we got Rare Americans with Rare Americans 2. Now, at the risk of making a pun here, these guys really are workhorses, releasing single after single in the past couple years and actually dropping yet another album within like the 2021 period. I think it was in November or October that came out, being Jamesy Boy and the Screw Loose Zoo. These guys don't stop. It's like they have nothing better to do, not in a negative way. It's like they have nothing better to do than sit at home, write music, pump out lyrics, hit up an animator and say, hey, we need a dog through a mental crisis or something for this video. Okay, thanks. Appreciate you. They are dedicated to providing their fan base with a steady stream of music, content, interaction, and so much more. If you follow these guys on TikTok, they're constantly replying to comments with videos. They're constantly talking to people. And every single time they do that, they're putting one of their dozens of songs out on display. These guys have songs for every type of mood. You're feeling good, you're feeling high, you're feeling sad, you're feeling fucking pissed. These guys got you covered. And so do they have that same range of emotions here on Rare Americans 2. You can have any feeling or emotion running through your veins. You'll find a song from this band, and especially here on this album, feel that emotion, calm down that emotion, or just to melt into. It's not just music with no fire or spit behind it. These guys, and especially lead vocalist James, pump a different kind of energy into things. That's why they're here. Number 22, haha, 2022, bang bang, jokes I guess, is 303 with Need. I made it a point throughout reviews here and there to call 2021 the year of debuts and returns. Both of them were pretty fucking stellar this year. I mean, again, we had American Teeth and the other debut album later down this list coming out. We had returns from these guys. This year was just nuts in terms of both of those things. But this one was truly one that caught me off guard. And I say that so often on my channel. Caught me off guard. It surprised me. It was a welcome surprise. But fuck you, that's my brand. I never expected 303 to come back from albums like Streets of Gold or Night Sports and offer up a straight spiritual successor to their breakout album and arguably one of the biggest albums of the pre-2010 era of emo music. Like, if you know anybody who used to be an emo kid or a scene kid or still is one of those recovering or very much still the same, they know the lyrics to Don't Trust Me. They know the lyrics to Starstruck. They know the lyrics to some 303 song. And this album, again, spiritual successor, it feels like it's something directly from that era in this modern era. And what can I say? We honestly need this kind of music. We need this kind of vibe here in 2021 because the year's been a shit show. I mean, Corona, everything else. We needed this. Top to bottom, this album speaks to both the legacy of bangers like Don't Trust Me and shows that they have always had that same kind of scene kid party vibe within them. They've always had the energy, and they even displayed it partially on Streets of Gold and Night Sports. They still know what they're doing. They know how to evoke that same sort of feeling you got when you heard songs like their OG hits back in the day. That's why they're here on this list. Number 21 for 2021 is CU Space Cowboy with the Romance of Affliction. It is beyond frustrating finding a band with such a stellar catalog late into their career, and that's exactly what happened here with this guys. CU Space Cowboy, I kept hearing the band's name, and I kept hearing them pop up here and there ever since the release of their 2017 EP, and I was like, yeah, I should probably listen to them, and then I just listened to a Dance Gavin Dance album on repeat, because I'm trash. I mean, for God's sake, I have a John Mess painting in my room. Shh, it's okay. But all in all, I just never took the time to actually listen to them, give them credit, and give them a proper go. And when I finally did with this album, there's no other words besides just fucking, this is the type of music I would have had pounding through my earbuds back in high school. This is the type of music that feels like that just certain itch you can't scratch, a certain feeling that you got where it's like, you know, I want something that feels like the old music scene, it feels like old Warped Tour, but also feels like mallcore, but also feels like just something new, fresh. That's what these guys are. They've self-coined themselves as sasscore. They have math rock elements. They have elements of pure, straight up fucking punk, and there's nothing that you can take away from these guys when it says they are the most uninhibitedly unhinged themselves here here with this album. And like I've said forever released so far, that's why they're here on this list. Number 20, we got Tillian with Factory Reset. Tillian is consistent, hands down. There's no other way to say it. Whether he's at the helm of Dance Gavin Dance, doing a feature with somebody like Johnny Craig, or Idola, or I the Mighty. Has he done a collaboration with Idola? I could be wrong there. Regardless, wherever he is, solo, in a band, collaboration, Tillian just doesn't stop putting out fucking bangers. Stellar performances. He is one of the most consistent frontmans, not only in metalcore, not only in post-hardcore, but in the scene, and arguably in music in general. His voice, his cadence, his ability to switch from, again, post-hardcore and metalcore to straight up pop rock, and honest to God, pure pop music, speaks volumes to this band's talent. Whether it's a slow boat ride jam, a late night club track that would feel just as home in a AAA movie, or just other general songs that range from mainstream to underground, Tillian does it all. He's done it before time and time again, such as with 2017's The Skeptic. He's here again with Factory Reset, and honestly, I am perfectly fine with our music scene overlord giving us something fresh and something new every couple of years. Number 19, we got Slaughter to Prevail with an album that I'm probably going to mispronounce, called Stalin. There's not much to say about the Alex Terrible project that hasn't been said before, excuse me. Slaughter to Prevail is brutality in its purest form. Postalum is just another addition to this blood-soaked anthology. If I had to pick out 4 bands that sit at the top of deathcore right now, there's some obvious names. You know, Suicide Silence brought back their throne, brought back their place with, I think it was Become the Hunter was the name of the album. Black Dahlia Murder's there, of course. Oceano's a pretty good pick, but Slaughter to Prevail, they ripped whoever that 4th spot was off of the throne, beat the fuck out of them, made music out of that. They made music out of beating. This is the type of music that plays in that one uncomfortable part of the movie where all of a sudden someone's just pounding the fuck out of somebody. You're seeing something that you feel like you shouldn't be watching. This is music that you feel like shouldn't be listened to. This is just that perfect level of enjoyable and uncomfortableness that makes for an interesting and fascinating album. And above all else, this isn't just noise and sound for the sake of it. This still retains the beauty that deathcore is, which is brutal fucking music with a mind for emotion and storytelling all the same. That's why Kostalum is at this list. Number 18, we got Attack Attack with the Long Time No See EP. Remember how I mentioned 303 belonged to a group of returns I made this year special? Attack Attack stood out as the return of the fucking year. Not just this year, the past few years. We've needed Attack Attack for so long. They finally came back, and they didn't just phone it in. They weren't just like, oh yeah, here's a single. We're gonna go on tour and we're gonna disappear. Nah, we got 2 fucking tours happening. We had multiple singles, a joke single just goes fuck it, and we had this full EP. And God forbid, if we don't get a full album in the next calendar year, I might just shit myself. This wasn't just a big name coming back after a long departure. This was a scene icon coming back from the dead with a fever. We may be on the 6th vocalist here in between cleans and roughs, but that doesn't mean that the band has lost their identity. The band has, if anything, refound their original identity that was present on Someday Came Suddenly. Self-titled. Arguably, a lot of people, they think that the This Is War album was their shittiest album. I think it was the worst album. It wasn't Attack Attack, it was bootleg Diet Beartooth. Instead, I'd say Please Be Nice. That's my favorite album from the band. But also, yeah, fair enough. The album, while it was really good, to a certain point, it doesn't feel like Attack Attack. But this is Attack Attack in their purest form, their most undiluted form. They're back. They're ready to make us all crabcore again. I don't know if I can even crabcore on... I'm probably just going to dip out of the fucking... I hurt my back. What the fuck? That's why I'm not on Attack Attack. Number 17, we have Knocked Loose with A Tear in the Fabric of Life, the EP. There's only one way to describe Knocked Loose as a band. They are unrelenting. There's plenty of synonyms, plenty of other words and buzzwords and catchphrases that you can use to describe them, but pure and simple, Knocked Loose has been beating our asses for half a decade plus now. They created an EP here that stands as both a cinematic piece of art and an equally magnificent, brutal music outing from them. I noted in my review I did for the album that this felt like a direct stab into the arteries of their OG Split EP and Pop Culture EP, and that isn't even scratching the surface of this band's personal brand of hardcore music. It's built upon layers and layers of different things. It feels like all parts of Knocked Loose are coming in here. A Different Shade of Blue had a more, not mainstream, but maybe, what's a better word? Accessible sound, and you still get a little bit of that here, but like I said, you got accents of that. You got pieces of the Pop Culture EP. Every face of Knocked Loose comes together here, and they all just punch you straight in the throat. It's been nothing but hits ever since Laugh Tracks came out, and honestly, between you and me, Knocked Loose is never going to release a bad album. Number 16, we have Beartooth with Below, and this is going to kind of contradict the fact of this being a top 25 album list, But this is one of the rare albums that it's placed pretty high on my end of the year list, but I have a bit of a negative thing to say about it in a way. If you view this as negative, I'll try to make it positive by the end of it, because, you know, top 25 album, but just bear with me here. That beginning sentiment is simply because this album goes hard. It stands as proof of concept once again for frontman Caleb Shomo that he can basically do well in anything he puts his mind to. This is the type of album that feels influenced by doom metal, Black Sabbath, modern metal, just pure fucking metal, as well as the band's original look at post-hardcore and metalcore music, all coming together in a very interesting melting pot. But I do have to say that this album would have placed a little bit higher, if not much higher, if this was from a different band, because while this album's great, it's wonderful even, this is just sort of kind of leaning into more of the fact that Beartooth is one of those bands that gets called a copy and paste act, a band that does the same thing over and over quite a lot. And I hate making that sentiment. I hear people say that, and I'm the first person to say, hey, shut the fuck up, I'll fight you. Not really, because I'm gentle, but I'll fight you, don't hurt me, I'm fragile. But this album kind of had that same kind of feeling that I got with Disease, where it's like, oh god, I like it, but where's the gabagool? While the album's great and songs like Skin and Phantom Pain stand out as truly individual pieces from the band's discography, like I said, this is fantastic, but from another band, it would have been marvelous. Number 15, we're getting a little deeper now. We have Happier by Volumes. Truly, this is a band, and an album, of course, that caught me off guard. Not just in a way where it's like, oh, I didn't expect this. They caught me off guard in the sense that, I'll be quite honest, I never listened to Volumes before in my life. I kind of avoided them because I looked at the cover of their albums and I was like, yeah, I just don't like it based off the cover art. Stupid, I know. Feel free to roast me. Off the urging of one of my friends, I decided to finally listen to the lead single to this album, and I had a pretty positive reaction. I was like, alright, you know what, fuck it, you got my attention. Kind of similar to how Bad Omens has my attention for this February album they're releasing. I was like, alright, fuck it. Gave it to me. But when I came out of the other end of this album, I was more than fully satisfied. Moments like the first intense seconds of the song Malevolent are put up against more purposely paced songs like the title track, showing the band's intent and mind for creating varied versions of metalcore, something that's always fantastic to see. Because a lot of bands that can stick to pure metalcore, it can be kind of okay, but they don't do much to go out of their way to make something truly individual, something truly different. And this is going to come out kind of weird, but I feel like it's something worth saying. It's all the same. I hope you get what I mean here. Past couple years, we've seen a lot of band members, a lot of bands kind of get called out or kicked out of their bands for shitty reasons because they're shitty people. And I am all for that. 1000%. I want to see shitty people get the fuck out of the scene. Fuck like the rapists, the pedophiles, all that. But at the end of the day, sometimes with certain bands, you feel a void. You feel a kind of moment where it's like, well, can't ever listen to this band again. Can't ever fucking listen to it because it's besmirched now. And that's perfectly valid. But this band feels like one that it feels like they fit into a lot of familiar places that sort of feel like left out. I mean, just one example, Issues is officially just like a instrumental band because of Tyler Carter and what happened with him. This album kind of feels like a Issues album in a way. Like the instrumentation feels very, not inspired, very akin to that sort of sound. And at certain points, there even has feelings of I the Mighty, which I found kind of ironic because, again, guy got kicked out of the band and all that. But I think it's worth saying that a band like this, a band like Volumes, and an album like Happier can fill the voids and fill the spaces where you might have felt left down and just left in the dark by shitty people and other bands. This is an album that you need for the fact that it's wonderful to listen to and for the fact that maybe it can be that new special feeling for you. Real talk, I can't wait till I get a haircut because shit like this, it's just how long it is. Like, my hair can be clean, my hair can be... It doesn't fucking matter, my hair is just a fucking mess and I look like a rat! Number 14, we got Flux by Poppy. Poppy has reinvented her sound several times over during her musical career, with the most drastic coming courtesy of her post-sit Titanic Sinclair splits. But fuck that guy, fuck the past, generally fuck everything. Poppy has never sounded better here. We've seen so many different facets of her. The Bubble Bath EP was something, Poppy.Computer was a different vibe, I Disagree was a different vibe, and finally we got Flux, which feels like all the best parts of subtle grunge. A little bit of like, if you can even call it like indie rock, indie metal type vibes here. I'm getting so many different things from this album that it's hard to even summarize. It's hard to say, besides the fact that Poppy took a little bit out of every jar and said, you know what, I like this. I'm gonna make my own jar now. It's a clusterfuck, but it sounds great. All the experimentation with different sounds has led to this being just an overall power display of her showing off that she's one of the queens of the scene right now. She's up there with Courtney LaPlante, Lilith Czar, Edith Johnson, Anna Connie, I'm going to butcher her last name, Sgarbosa from See You Space Cowboy. She is one of the undisputed queens among a group of queens. Number 13, Lorna Shore with their And I Return to Nothingness EP. We've hit the halfway mark, and this is where things really start to kick up in quality. There's Knocked Loose version of Brutality that I mentioned earlier. Then there's what the band Lorna Shore has created, and that's total annihilation every time they come together for an album. From Flesh Coffin to Immortal to this EP, it's gone viral. They've shattered the glass ceiling. They've taken those broken shards, they're digging them into the wall. They're climbing higher and higher. They're setting themselves up in fucking space with how high this Will Ramos-led outfit has achieved here. Their venues have been getting upgraded over in London for their shows because people keep saying, holy fuck, these guys need a bigger venue. Holy fuck, tickets are selling out. We need to go bigger. We need to go better. That's what this band has done over the years. And they have reached a plateau here with this EP. There's plenty more plateaus to come. There's plenty more moments to shine for these guys, especially with the next full-length album. But just 3 songs here accomplished more and accomplished what others have done better than so many albums. I listened to 16 song albums this year. I came away going, eh. I listened to 3 songs on this album and I came away going, oh. Or maybe more appropriately, yeah. These guys blew my mind, broke my mind, and if I was to give out like an Underdog Award or an MVP of the Year award, Lorna Shore, y'all got the badges. Number 12, we have Can't Swim with Change of Plans. It took me a long time to enjoy Can't Swim. It took me albums, EPs, I think there was even a couple live albums. I just could never get them. I could never understand them. Then I sat down with the song Set the Room Ablaze, admittedly because I had Caleb Shomo featured in it. And I listened to that song, and even beyond Caleb, I was like, you know what? Holy fuck, I finally get it. I finally like these guys. The palpable emotion and fire that is found within these songs, it reminds me a lot of like early Motionless in White, Crown the Empire, like early 2010s metalcore vibes. These guys, they should be a lot bigger than what they are. They sound like a big money band. They sound like a band that should be attached like to Warner Brothers or Universal or Reprise or somebody just big. And yet, not a lot of people know who they are. Not a lot of their songs peak past certain amounts. These guys deserve better. And this is coming from like a new fan. This is coming from somebody who like a year ago would have said, to free tickets. Change of Plans is a unforgettable album that desires your attention, just like they desire the top, and they're gonna get to that top. Number 11, we got another album that's gonna make you sit there and go, this guy's fucking stupid, with A Day to Remember and You're Welcome. I know what you're thinking. This album was one of the worst things to come out of this year, and it was the worst release that A Day to Remember has put out. But honestly, between you and me, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret here. No, A Day to Remember's never released a bad album, just kind of okay albums. Oh, fuck, don't kill me. Over the past 15 plus years that this band has been an outfit, they have put albums out and put songs out that appeal to a lot of different people. They basically coined the term easycore, pop punk and metalcore. They made them both their bitches. They combined the two and made something beautiful with albums like Common Courtesy or Homesick. And here on You're Welcome, they've taken every facet of who they are, every element, every emotion, and combined it in a worthwhile listen. They got a little something for everybody. If you want like a arguably classic A Day to Remember sound, you just want something heavy, something hard, listen to Resentment or listen to Last Chance to Dance, Bad Friend. If you want something sitting purely in the pop punk vibes, Degenerates is right there waiting for you. And if you want to take a listen to the new brand of A Day to Remember, possibly the new course that they're taking over the next couple of years, Bloodsucker's there, Fuck You Money is there. There's so many different moving pieces to this album that it feels like this album begged to be put in a top spot here on this album end of the year album list, just because there's so much going on in it, and it's all done well. Just because it's different, just because it's the way you're not used to, doesn't automatically mean it's bad. And this is a perfect example of that here with You're Welcome. Top 10, we're in the top 10, boys. I am so out of breath, it is fucking ridiculous. I'm 23, why am I so out of shape? Number 10, we have 30 by Adele. I'm gonna be the first person to admit, a lot of Adele's music never impressed me. It seemed like your typical radio pop, she's the biggest thing because she has all the streams artists, and I just couldn't get behind her. And I sat down with this album, I saw it was like a big deal. People were a little more like hype about it than usual, and I was like, all right, fuck it, let's give it a go again. And what I came away with was a feeling that this is Adele at her best. I've sat down with her albums before, I've listened to her albums fully before. I may have never got it, but I finally get Adele. This is the most it feels like the most honest, the most emotional that she's ever been. And truly, this album actually feels individual. There's the same pop sensibilities that she's employed time and time again on previous albums, but we also get almost jazz, which anytime jazz is infused into something, it just makes me want to go fucking... I know I should speak pretty heavily on top 10 entries, especially the number 10 leading into the rest of the top 10, but truly, 30 by Adele is the album that I can personally say, without a shadow of doubt, I can say this with a pretty good feeling. This is the album to turn you into a fan of Adele if you were previously hating on her. Number 9, we got Manic by Wage War. Wage War hit a bump in their road on the way to the Mount Rushmore of modern metalcore with Pressure. The album, straight up, it fell flat. It was their attempt to create something individual, something new within their own little space. They tried to pop their own personal bubble, and it popped, but it fell in on themselves, and they kind of stumbled, tripped, and fell. Pressure, straight up, it wasn't a good album. I'm just gonna be that guy to say it. But here on Manic, they took that old formula, they looked at it and said, hey, this part fucking sucks, let's redo that, but better. And they made pretty much the better version of Pressure here with Manic. While I wanted to see them explore new avenues, I always like to see metalcore bands do a little something different after a few albums. I really felt like Deadweight era of Manic, or Deadweight era Wage War, was their best version of themselves. But this album stands perfectly on par with Deadweight. This album seeks and destroys any notion that the band doesn't have proper range. It's a wonderful execution of the same range that they attempted over on Pressure, but this time there's flawless intensity along with it. Trying to fit more subdued songs into a catalog of admittedly harder pieces is something that a lot of bands can kind of fall short on. Look at bands like Of Mice and Men, Avatar, look at their respective albums like Cold World and Avatar Country. They weren't exactly the heavy-hitting, wonderful masterpieces that they wanted to come out with. But, just like Avatar came back with The Colossus, just like Of Mice and Men came back with Earth and Sky, Wage War has come back with Manic. They perfected this new formula, and hopefully, I just hope that we see more of this on the next album. Number 8, we got Don't You Feel Amazing by Trash Boat. Trash Boat has always been something special, with a sort of revered energy in their performances that just makes you want to jump headfirst into a pit, let loose, fucking... This is gonna hurt my arms, because again, I'm built like a 43-year-old man, but throwing some fucking windmills, I slap myself in the face with my zip. And that's why I don't mosh anymore. That old young exterior, while admittedly pretty appealable, especially with Trash Boat's overall aesthetic, they have created a new space for themselves. They've created a new, mature energy that melted perfectly into Don't You Feel Amazing. This is their best album yet. I found myself replaying the album time and time again, analyzing the different elements over and over, trying to find something new I could bring out, just because every single time I thought, okay, I gotten all the facets of their politically charged bad entertainment. Maybe there's nothing more to look into. I just listened a little harder to parts like even from the guest vocalist Milky Way, and I realized, damn, there's more to this than usual. A lot of bands, they'll sound big, they'll sound kind of like over the top with big buzzwords and big sounding energy, kind of like While She Sleeps' recent album Sleep Society. But with Sleep Society, the actual meat in between the sandwich was kind of moldy. Here, it's Arby's sandwich. It's good to go. It's the meat mountain. Did that comparison make any sense? Probably not. Not once during the duration of this album did Trash Boat try to ease you into things. At every point within this album, it felt like they were grabbing you by the face, forcing you into this space of theirs, and forcing you to breathe in every bit of their essence, and it paid off in the best way. Number 7, we got Volume 4, Numb the Ache by Victims. This is one of the first albums I really took to wanting to review this year, discovering the band in the early goings of 2021, and they just, oh my god, they were my obsession for a couple months. Ask my roommates, you could not go a day without me in my room just going, yeah, fucking along to a song. It was kind of horrible, actually. Not that music was fucking great. All in all, I was looking forward to this album like insanely high. I honestly didn't think that anything could eclipse Volume 3, but this album and the band themselves took every expectation, every worry, and absolutely beat them into the fucking dirt. Oh god, my hoodie. This is the type of fever that you'd expect from bands like Slipknot, Code Orange, Architects. But you get it here with a band that is relatively still underground, relatively still unknown, and it blows my mind how these guys aren't bigger. This is the type of sound that deserves a big stage. This is the type of sound that deserves to headline arenas, and I hope one day Victims gets just that. Number 6, we got Greatest Hits by Waterparks. If there was one band to embody the word consistency, it's Waterparks. And while consistency is usually a straight line, Architects took that definition, took that straight line, bent it, gave it a caps lock on Twitter, and sent it sailing up. Looked like I dabbed there. Bam. To them, consistency is making music that progressively gets bigger, more varied, and enjoyed by wider audiences as time goes on. You look at an album like Cluster, which is when I came in them, was just post-release of Cluster, and you look at Double Dare and you think, alright, so they upped the pop punk energy. This is really good. This is nice. Then you look at entertainment and you're like, okay, shit, we got some pop rock going in here. This is getting spicy. Then fandom hits and you're like, oh no, what am I in for? In the best fucking way possible. Look at songs like Just Kidding, Snow Globe, Ice Bath. This band does it all seemingly on this album, and it seems like they've really looked at everything they've done in the past and thought to themselves, okay, let's bring it back now, and just make the best fucking music that we ever have. And that is what Greatest Hits embodies. Number 5, we have Evermore by Taylor Swift. What's there to say about Taylor Swift that hasn't been echoed by major news outlets, music reviewers, and just the world at large in the past 5 years? Taylor Swift can do any fucking thing she wants to. She started out country, she melted perfectly into pop rock, became a straight up pop singer, and now we have indie Taylor? Like, I'm all for it. Our overlord is, she do whatever you want, Tay-Tay. Here she adds even more notches to her belt, more layers to her discography, and I don't think anybody saw this coming. If there was somebody who predicted Bjork on a fucking Taylor Swift album, give them a medal, give them a bottle of wine, they deserve it. Taylor is shining brighter than ever before, which is interesting considering that her previous album, Lover, seemed like the most in-depth she could get into a certain aesthetic, into a certain era, and then we come here with this, with like a full, almost 180 on her formula, on her songwriting, even, and the structures here are more than individual, they're more than original. There's something that doesn't even feel like Taylor Swift, but it feels perfectly within her realm at the same time. That's what makes this album so fucking special. Number 4, we got Lil Nas X with Montero. Debut albums don't always look this good, but Lil Nas X did the impossible with his first major album and created a diamond straight out of the gate with the best debut album of the year. Writing the success of songs like Old Town Road and Panini, he took that success, looked at it and said, all right, I like that, but let's get a little more spice. Let's do a little bigger. And he did just exactly that. This is Parade Flow big. This is Monday morning news big. This album is the biggest mainstream album of the fucking year. And that's just me saying that because that's my opinion. That's me saying that because I truly think it is. You can look at Taylor Swift, you can look at Adele, and you can be like, oh yeah, well, they were the biggest album because of streams and sales and stuff. Fuck that. No, Lil Nas X took 2021, made it his fucking bitch. The stories here tackle love, loss, grief, who he was, who he is, who he wants to be, and then at the end of the day, he just sits back, he relaxes, he takes a drink and goes, I'm Lil Nas fucking X. This is my world, you're just living in it. And it also helps that he's got people like Miley Cyrus, Doja Cat, fucking Elton John on here. This is Lil Nas X riding the wave, riding the momentum, becoming that wave, and becoming the brightest fucking star in mainstream music this year. Number 3, we're coming to the end. We got the bronze medal, but don't mistake bronze for something bad. We got Ice Nine Kills with Welcome to Horrorwood. Sequels, they can fall flat half the time, but when just the right kind of chemistry and effort happens behind the scenes, you get something truly magnificent. This is Ice Nine Kills' second outing into the world of horror music and horror films. And the first album, it had undeniably big impact songs. You had Thank God It's Friday. You had The American Nightmare. You had songs like A Grave Mistake reaching radio stations. That the first time I heard Ice Nine Kills on the radio was when A Grave Mistake came on 97.9 WGRD. And it's moments like that that make you sit back and think, okay, Ice Nine Kills, they're a big fucking deal. And when Welcome to Horrorwood came out, just when the singles came out alone, the first single, Hip to Be Scared, felt larger than life. It felt larger than the original Silver Scream. And then the hits just kept coming. We got Funeral Derangements. We got another single that's escaping me just because I'm going on a manic rant right now. This album is larger than life. It is gold star movie magnificence put into music. You had deep cuts like The Fly on here, for fuck's sake, along with mainstream movie hits like Evil Dead and Hellraiser. Ice Nine Kills took their ball, they went running with it, they stopped about halfway, stabbed it a couple times, threw it back and said, fuck you, we don't need the ball, we know how to keep this machine rolling on our own. And not only are they rolling, they have created one of their best pieces of music to date, one of the best pieces of inspired music, I think, ever. Honestly, truthfully, Ice Nine Kills, they are deserving of so much, and I hope to see, fuck it, bold proclamation here, I want another one. Hey Ice Nine Kills, hey Spencer, hey Joe, Patrick, Dan, and Ricky, give me another one, give me the third, I need it, complete the trilogy, right here. Number 2, we got Gojira, Fortitude. Fun fact, up until I looked at the last album on the list, obviously the number 1 album, this was my number 1 album. As soon as I reviewed this album back in, God, I think it was May at this point, I sat there, I listened to it, I almost just dropped my painting on the ground. Oh God, I would cry. I thought to myself, this is as good as music gets this year. Fortitude is the type of album that old fans of metal, modern fans, and those lost along the way, they beg for. They beg for that sort of thing that appeals to everybody, and this is exactly what it was. You had songs like Grind, which appeals to the people who want more faster paced, fuck yeah, heavy music. You had more balanced tunes, more less abrupt tunes that you can sit back and go, yes, this is what metal fucking is. This appealed to everybody, and that alone makes it an album worth mentioning. But just the fact that this isn't just music made with that in mind. It's not just them going, okay, we need to save metal music. This is them sitting there and going, all right, and we got a formula that we put on albums like Magma, Island. Let's just, turn it upside down, turn it on its head. They did with this album what bands like Volbeat have done with albums like Let's Seal the Deal and Let's Book It. They did with this album what bands like Motionless in White did with Disguise. They took their formula, they realized, we can do this a lot fucking better, and they did it better. Only one band was able to further eclipse them, but that's not to take away from the raw talent that this band exuded here on this release. And that last band is none other than Architects, For Those That Wish to Exist. That is my number 1 album of 2021. Abandon all hope, ye who enter here. There was only one choice for album of the year when it came down to things. I knew it in my head. I didn't score the album yet. I hadn't written the review up until late October, but I knew just looking at it, Architects has the potential, and it delivered that potential to become the juggernaut of the year. Fun fact, For Those That Wish to Exist currently sits as my highest scored album ever, with a score of 9.2 out of 10. Architects not only once again replicated the excellence that they have shown in other releases like All Our Gods Have Abandoned Us and Holy Hell, but they've reached the same level of perfection that those two albums had. They didn't just get it right once and say, okay, we're done. They didn't just get it right twice and say, okay, yeah, we did enough. This is their 3rd time nailing their version of metal, fusing different feelings of metalcore, different versions of Sam Carter's voice, whether it be the raw, intense, animalistic screaming, or the pure crooning, soaring vocals that he can produce. Every member of the band deserves a shout out here, but that would take too long to talk about everybody's wonderful contributions to this album. You can go to this album and listen to any song, any moments, and be truly, truly satisfied. Animals, Meteor, Dying is Absolutely Safe. Truly, this is what the blueprint for perfection looks like. Truly, words can't describe this album, even when I do my best. But above all else, Architects once again has proved, not even in their best album, this isn't their best album. This is their 2nd best album, but this isn't even their best. They have proved that once again, they are the kings of modern music in my 2021 album of the year. Everybody give it up for Those That Wish to Exist. And ladies and gentlemen, that has been my top 2021 albums, my top 25 albums of the year. And truthfully, not even nearly an hour in recording time can sum up how I truly feel about some of these albums. The raw footage for this video is literally, it's counting down right now, just at 51 minutes and 36 seconds. If I truly got into every detail of why I loved every single album, this would be like a 2-hour video. So if you sat this long or you just skipped to the end to see what number 1 was, regardless, I just want to thank each and every one of you who has supported me throughout this year. This year has been a fucking mess, to say the least. Like, everything that could go bad has gone bad, plain and simple. So honestly, It means the world to me to have everybody's support here, whether you're a new fan, an OG fan, someone from Facebook, someone from Twitter, wherever you're from, wherever you're here. Again, thank you so much. It really means the world to me. I hope you enjoyed the list. I hope you enjoyed some of the albums here. What albums did I miss? Like I said, I missed a lot. Like, I missed a lot of albums just purely because I started halfway through the year. But 2022, hopefully it's going to go so much better. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to go take a break because my throat fucking hurts. And I just stay hydrated. Have a good day. I'll see you next time. Look at my Mimikyu. He's fucking adorable. See ya.